They call him the spirit of reggae. But who is the man behind the voice? Behind the silence? Behind the spear? Before he became a legend, before the world knew his name, he was just Winston Rodney, a quiet boy growing up in the hills of St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica. The same place where Marcus Garvey was born. The same place where Bob Marley would rise. But while others ran to the spotlight, Winston listened. He listened to the rain, to the sound of his mother's voice, to the silence between breaths. He was raised in a modest home. No electricity, no modern luxuries, just fields, trees, and tradition. His parents were farmers. His world was built on roots, literal and cultural. And from a young age, he developed a deep sense of observation. He watched people. He watched suffering. He watched how no one listened to the poor, the forgotten, the black masses. "I did not come to sing for applause," he once said. "I came to remind my people who they are." Musical notes' first sparks of sound. Winston's musical awakening came not from a radio, but from Jamaican revivalist ceremonies. Spiritual, raw, hypnotic rhythms that went beyond entertainment. He began to sing in church, not out of faith, but out of curiosity. And that curiosity grew when he met a quiet revolutionary, Bob Marley. They didn't meet on a stage. They met as neighbors in St. Anne's Bay. Bob told him, "If you believe in something, use your voice." That sentence would change everything. Fire the name, Burning Spear. Inspired by the African liberation movement, Winston adopted the name, Burning Spear, after a Kenyan freedom fighter, Jomo Kenyatta, whose nickname was also Burning Spear. It wasn't just a name. It was a mission, to use reggae not as a genre, but as a weapon of consciousness. "My voice is the spear. My fire is the truth." Herb Rastafari and identity. In the 1970s, Burning Spear embraced Rastafari, not as a religion, but as a cultural identity. He wore the dreadlocks. He rejected materialism. He spoke in liberty, the natural, humble way of life. While many saw Rastas as outcasts, Spear saw them as the roots of Africa in exile. DVD, Marcus Garvey, the debut that sparked a movement. In 1975, Spear released the now legendary album, Marcus Garvey. Not on a major label, not with flashy promotion, just rhythm, resistance, and righteousness. The album was banned by many stations. It was too political, too black, too honest. But the people? They devoured it. Old Marcus Garvey spoke of peace. But no one remembered, so I had to sing him back to life. Songs like Slavery Days, The Invasion, and Marcus Children Suffer became anthems of a movement that had no leader, only pain and memory. Spear didn't dance on stage. He stood firm, eyes closed, fists clenched, voice trembling like a sermon. His shows were not concerts. They were ceremonies. Mic not fame, but fire. By the late 1970s, Burning Spear was internationally recognized, yet he avoided the spotlight. No big interviews, no scandals, no crossover pop songs. He wasn't here to entertain. He was here to educate. The music business is about selling. I am about telling. And tell, he did. But not everyone wanted to hear it. While Marley rose to global fame, Spear remained in the shadows, respected, but not celebrated. Critics said he was too militant, too mystical, too serious, and that was exactly how he liked it. Clapperboard closing this chapter. Burning Spear's early years were not loud, they were deep. He was never the face on every poster. He was the voice in the distance, calling people back to truth. As Jamaica moved into the 1980s, surrounded by violence, politics, and Western pressure, Spear stood his ground. The roots are deep, the fire is eternal, and he was just getting started. While others ran to awards, Burning Spear walked toward truth. His road was not gold. It was gravel, fire, and silence. Airplane departure leaving Jamaica, not by choice, but by pressure. By the early 1980s, Jamaica was changing. Political violence, gang warfare, and economic collapse gripped the island. Artists were either swallowed by the system, or hunted by it. Burning Spear, never one to compromise, found his concerts disrupted, his albums censored, and his community endangered. So he left, not for fame, not for comfort, but to survive. He moved to the United States quietly, settling in Queens, New York, with his wife Sonia. You can exile the man, but not the mission. Musical notes music in exile, from silence to sound. While far from home, Spear didn't fade. He recorded, produced, and distributed his own music independently, a radical move at the time. His albums in the 1980s, like Resistance, 1985, People of the World, 1986, Mistress Music, 1988, carried the same fire. Just now with more polish, more defiance. Exile only sharpened the message. He refused major label deals. He toured small venues. He sold records hand to hand. People called him crazy, old-fashioned, difficult, but the underground respected him. Burning Spear became a symbol of artistic sovereignty, long before it was trendy. Rock spear and spiritual warfare. He spoke less in interviews, but more on stage. His shows were minimalist, dim lights, incense, no ego, only ritual. I do not perform, I manifest. Spear believed he was carrying ancestral messages. He claimed visions. He wrote lyrics in trances. He meditated daily, practiced untold living, and avoided processed food, TV, and even cities. The system poisons more than your belly. It poisons your thoughts. Globe reggae goes global, without compromise. In the 1980s, reggae became commercial. Bob Marley was now a global icon. Posthumously, dancehall was rising. Labels wanted crossover stars. Burning Spear didn't play along. No flashy videos, no party anthems, no mainstream collabs. He played small colleges, cultural festivals, and roots gatherings instead. Fans didn't scream, they wept. While the system danced, Spear made people remember. Journalist, 1987. Trophy the Grammy era. Ironically, even though he resisted the industry couldn't ignore him. In 1999, Spear's album, Calling Rastafari, won the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album. He didn't attend the ceremony. He didn't care for trophies. You don't need to win things when you're already living the truth. Repeat button returned to the source. By the late 1990s, Spear began visiting Jamaica again. But now, not as a rebel, as a respected elder. He walked through Kingston quietly, greeted by young artists as Father Fire. He visited schools, gave lectures, supported community farms. He never wore gold chains. He never posted selfies, just a staff in hand, and silence on his lips. The loudest sound is the one that comes after stillness. At the height of his power, he stepped away. No scandals, no farewell, just a whisper, and yet, his echo kept growing. Candle the quiet withdrawal. In the early 2000s, after decades of preaching, performing, and resisting, Burning Spear did something unexpected. He withdrew. No press release, no dramatic exit, no final tour. He just disappeared. Some said he was sick, others said he was done, but most knew he was simply tired. Spear gave us his soul for 40 years. Now he needed it back. Evergreen tree, a life off the grid. While the world kept spinning faster, more fame, more content, more noise, Spear chose slowness. He and his wife Sonia retreated to a rural life in the US. No interviews. No photos, no social media. He built a home, tended gardens, meditated, and stayed connected to nature. People around him say he rarely speaks, but when he does, it's always intentional. His silence now speaks louder than most albums. Books, letters, archives, and secrets. It is said that Burning Spear keeps detailed journals of his dreams. He writes by hand, with ink, by candlelight. He collects letters from fans, thousands of them. He reads them on special dates, full moon, Garvey's birthday, his own birthday. In these letters, he finds validation. You saved my life. Your music helped me heal. I found God in your lyrics. Some even claim he's working on a book, not a biography, but a spiritual journal. A collection of visions, lyrics, and meditations. But no one knows for sure. Because Spear doesn't announce, he reveals. Busts in silhouette, a legacy bigger than charts. Unlike many artists, Burning Spear didn't build a label. He didn't create a clothing line. He didn't chase brands or endorsements. But what he did create is far more lasting. He planted consciousness. He protected cultural memory. He made truth fashionable again. Young artists today, without even realizing, echo his cadence, his themes, his phrases. We don't just sample his sound. We sample his soul. Kabaka Pyramid Prayer beads the man behind the silence. At 80, Burning Spear remains a mystery. He has no public scandal, no autobiography, no documentary crew following him. Only whispers. Neighbors say they see him walking barefoot at sunrise. Others say he lights incense and speaks to trees. Some believe he no longer sings, only chants. Is he a man, or a spirit that visits us through vinyl? In a world obsessed with exposure, Spear teaches that some power lives in privacy. His life is now a ritual, a rhythm, a prayer with no end. Person in lotus position, final performances? Or just pauses? Every few years, rumors surface. He's coming back. He's recording again. There's one more tour, and then, silence. But in 2022, he shocked the world, returning to the stage at Reggae Sumfest in Jamaica. At 80 years old, in full white robes, Spear walked onto the stage, and the crowd wept. No lights, no hype, just him, and a fire that never left. I did not retire. I just waited for the world to catch up. He never chased headlines. He never needed gold. Yet today, the world calls him a prophet. Not because of fame, but because of fire. Globe beyond the man, a cultural force. Burning Spear is no longer just a name. He is a living philosophy, a sound wave carried across generations. His lyrics are quoted in college theses, Rasta rituals, human rights protests, and even therapy rooms. When I hear him, I remember who I am. Fan testimonial. He didn't give the world flashy content. He gave it context. Open book the legacy in lyrics. Spear's lyrics are now studied like scripture. Jah Nah Dead, right-pointing arrow a spiritual anthem for the abandoned. Columbus, right-pointing arrow a bold historical correction. Marcus Children suffer, right-pointing arrow a modern-day cry for systemic justice. African Postman, right-pointing arrow a call for diasporic reconnection. His music didn't age, it grew. Each year, new meanings emerge. Each crisis makes his words feel more urgent. The system has changed its clothes, but the chains are still tight. Megaphone recognition without corruption. Burning Spear has been honored globally. Grammy Awards, the Order of Distinction from Jamaica, tributes from reggae legends and hip-hop artists alike. But he never capitalized on it. No press tours, no merchandise launches, no nostalgic tours. He always said, awards do not validate the work validates the world. DNA influence in the DNA of music. Modern reggae, dub, even conscious rap, all echo Burning Spear. His minimalist sound, meditative bass lines, and message-first approach birthed a whole generation of truth-seekers. Chronix, Protege, Kabaka Pyramid, Damian Marley, all carry his torch. Even non-reggae artists cite him as a spiritual influence. And yet, many don't even realize they're channeling Spear. That's how deep his roots go. Footprint the final lesson. Stillness is power. In a culture addicted to attention, Spear's stillness is his final rebellion. He doesn't fight with fists anymore. He doesn't sing on demand. He simply is, and that presence, that quiet flame, it speaks louder than all the noise. You don't have to burn loud to burn forever. Sparkles the spirit lives on. Burning Spear is 80 years old, but his voice? Timeless. His message? Evergreen. His impact? Unmeasurable. He taught a generation to stop dancing for approval and start marching toward truth. He made silence powerful. He made reggae sacred. He made resistance beautiful. Prayer beads closing words. I'm not the king of reggae. I'm just the messenger. And when I'm gone, the message will still play. And it does. In the streets of Trenchtown, in the speakers of Paris, in the dreadlocked youth of Lagos, in the quiet garden where he walks barefoot at dawn. Burning Spear still burns.